Good morning, everyone, to this international conference of New Normal in Business and Management. Good morning, everyone, to the international virtual conference on the new normal in business and management. Good morning, everyone. We welcome you all to the international virtual conference on the new normal in business and management. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. I now invite, I now welcome you all to the international virtual conference on the new normal in business and management. Good morning, everyone. I welcome you all for the international virtual conference on the new normal in business and management.
Good morning, all. We welcome you all for the International Virtual Conference on the New Normal in Business and Management. The program will be starting sharp 10 a.m. Beautiful day begins with beautiful mindset. Happy morning to one and all. Department of Business Administration and Commerce of Sri Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science for Women take it a great privilege to welcome you all to the International Conference on the New Normal in Business and Management. To welcome is to show honor. To welcome is to establish integrity. I now call upon Dr. D. Jayanti, Head, Department of Business Administration, to deliver the welcome address. Over to you, ma'am.
Respected Chief Guest, Principal, Chairpersons, participants of the International Virtual Conference, colleagues, and students, a warm good morning to one and all. I wholeheartedly welcome the Chief Guest, Mrs. Sangeeta Srinivasan, Vice President, Delivery Lead Technology, Global Technology Operations, Bank of America, Texas, USA, who is here to inspire the participants with an inspirational talk. Your acceptance of our invitation to inaugurate conference and be a keynote speaker is of great significance. Welcome, ma'am. I place on record a warm welcome to our principal, Dr. K. Chitra, who is the source of motivation and whose support rendered to us in conducting the first of its kind virtual conference is immeasurable. Welcome, ma'am. I take this opportunity in welcoming the chairpersons, enthusiastic participants from around the country whose presence in the COVID-19 pandemic era is remarkable in this conference, which is being conducted remotely through the use of advanced technologies such as augmented reality and virtual reality. I am pleased to welcome you all to this conference. Globally, the small businessmen as well as front runners are facing challenges, and it is imperative for them to adapt and change their business endurance strategy to deal with enormous scale crisis. Domestic rating agency CRISIL has halved its GDP forecast for India to 1.8% for 2020-21. S&P Global Ratings 2020 has stated that India's banks will likely witness a spike in the non-performing assets ratio by 1.9 percentage and credit cost ratios by 130 basic points. While the economy wrestles with the fallout of COVID-19 in the world, Ambani raised more than 20 billion of investment for geo platforms, signing deals with blockbuster investors, including Facebook, Google, private equity firms like Silver Lake, and Abu Dhabi's whose largest souvenir investment arms. As rightly pointed out by Henry Ford, founder of the Ford Motor Company, be ready to revise any system, scrap any method, abandon any theory if the success of the job requires it. The Conference on the New Normal in Business and Management, ICNNBM 2020, would serve as a platform for sharing and integrating the views of students, academicians, research scholars, and corporate aiming for succeeding with the new normal in business economy of India. Let this conference facilitate to turn COVID-19 pandemic into unique opportunity to standardize the goals, plan e-business development charters, and accelerate sustainable development in the economy of a country despite maintaining social distancing. It's a matter of the greatest pleasure for me to extend a very hearty welcome to all the dignitaries and the participants. Once again, I welcome one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. When women help each other, incredible things happen. I now request one such incredible woman, Dr. K. Chitra, Principal, Sri Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science for Women, to deliver the presidential address. Over to you, ma'am.
Good morning. Happy morning to each and every one of you. It's a great delight for me to meet you all in this digital platform. I joined Dr. Jayanti in welcoming Mrs. Sangeeta Srinivasan, the Vice President of Delivery Lead Technology, Global Technology Operations, Bank of America, Dallas, Texas, USA. Thank you, Sangeeta, for joining us today. It's a pleasure for me to invite you for this great session on the new normal in business and management. On behalf of the management, the faculty team, the organizers, and all the participants. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you, and it is a great opportunity for us all to listen to your experience during this new normal, namely the COVID situation. We all know that pandemic has a long-lasting impact on all our lives, on the way we live, buy, sell, and it is a worst form of VUCA the world is facing in 2020. VUCA, as we all know, refers to volatility, uncertainty, and complexity, ambiguity. Entire world is united in undergoing the worst sort of VUCA in this 2020 era. Let me first congratulate in this context for the Commerce and the Management Department for coming together and identifying a topic of great relevance to the today's need, namely the new normal in business and management. I hope and wish this new normal, the word new normal is going to replace quickly with the word just the normal, because people are getting used to the new normal, and the word new will be replaced and is just going to become normal in the near future. The world, as it is being said, is pushed into technology revolution. The world itself, and particularly India, is fast forward 10 years by way of adopting the technology. We could never have thought that this conference would take place in a virtual manner. Last year, we had it in the in one-to-one personal mode. We had it at that point of time. We would have never thought it possible for us to have a virtual conference and to have Ms. Sangeeta address us all from USA, and every one of you sitting in the comfort of your home and listening to the great speakers lined up today. But it has come a reality. If anybody has said the education institution is going to adopt the technology this quicker, the students, the faculty, and the institution at large is going to adopt, it would not have been accepted by anybody. But fast forward just 3 months, now all of us are adapting to the technology as if we are born with that in the as a sixth finger. Particularly the Generation Z, the millennial, and all the students in this particular era. We are all, though nobody can replace the personal one-to-one discussion in the classroom, there is no lockdown for learning. All of us understood that. And even this conference is happening in the virtual mode, in the comfort, and the learning is not minimized in any particular instance. It is still, we are using it to learn the maximum from each other. So in this context, let me first congratulate all the participants for taking part in it, for coming forward to present your papers and share your thoughts in this particular theme today. So I hope that this would be a great learning session for each and every one of us. To just point out a few things which appears to my mind related to the theme. No, each and every one of us are consumers of one thing or other. So we all understood that as consumers, the new normal has taken us to new dimensions, and new horizons are being explored by us. Now, all of us, now the consumers and the marketers at large are looking at, there is a change in the spending pattern by the consumers. Everybody is looking into spending only for the essentials and not the luxuries, unless and otherwise it's a travel option. And all of us are using digital platform for purchasing anything from a car to anything, any particular aspects. People are looking at buying things through the online digital platform. And who would have thought that the shopkeepers would call us and we could call them through the mobile and go through the wardrobe in the video mode and select the dresses in the video mode and have it delivered to our houses. I'm sure that every one of you would have had experience. Virtual trying of jewels, virtual trying of dresses. Who would have thought all these things would have happened? And also, every one of the customers and the marketers are emphasizing on cleanliness and the safety in whatever form they are selling the product to us. Home body economy is growing, and also zero touch searches. Even searches is taking the form of voice searches, and authenticity is given a lot of importance, and media landscape is also changing greatly. Now, be it marketing, HR, finance, operations, or whichever functions of commerce and management, everything is undergoing this COVID pandemic. And I would like to explain the alphabets involved in COVID in a different way, which would tell us about the new normal in the business and management. So to my mind, C stands for cost consciousness. So the cost consciousness is, as as I was telling you, highlighting how the consumers are becoming cost consciousness. Everybody, even the people who are in the HR, the management, the administration, the PR, and the finance and the operation guys who are taking care of the CEOs, CFOs, everybody is looking at cost cutting and cost consciousness in all the activities which is delivered by them. So that cost consciousness has become the new normal. And moving on to O, in the COVID, the C stands for cost consciousness. O, I would say, is standing up for orientation. If I would go in further, it would call for reorientation, not orientation per se, reorientation. Reorientation to the new way of, say, for example, customers means acquiring and retaining the customers. If it is HR, is acquiring and retaining the HR. If it is finance, acquiring and raising the finance in the new way. So everything should go through a reorientation. The way we look at things has to be in a different perspective. We'll have to wear different spectacles to look at the world. We need to reorient ourselves in whichever way possible in order to exist in this new normal situation. Moving on to V, as V stands, as I see, it is value offering. Now, I told you that everybody is looking hard pressed for cash or money, or the earnings of the people has reduced, and they are looking at ways in which they can maximize what they get vis-a-vis what they give. So value offering is becoming more and more important. Less cost, giving room for more returns. That's what everybody is looking. As a customer, as a finance manager, as a marketing manager, because of the economic stress, everybody is looking at value offering. So as a student who is seeking employment also, if you look at what value we can offer to the firm which is going to recruit you, that would be great, and you will be recruited. The chance of being recruited is higher in that particular aspects. Looking at I in the COVID, so I would look at is innovation. So innovation has never assumed much more importance than what it is assuming now. So innovation has always has gained importance, particularly in the COVID situation. How do we reach consumers? How do we reach the employees? How do you raise the finance? All these things, can you follow some innovative technique? So innovation is the key word which will bring together the puzzles in this today's pandemic world. And last, D. As I already said, the digital platform and the digital adoption is becoming much more at a higher rate, and everybody, be it education or industry or manufacturing or services, are giving a lot of importance to digitalization of anything, and even education industry, as I've already touched upon. So digital platforms and OTT and everything which is in digital form is much more easier for connecting to the audience or connecting to the recipients or the consumers in any walk of life. It's becoming much more easier. So having said the new definition for COVID, namely cost consciousness, orientation or reorientation, value offering, innovation, and digital. So this is the new normal, and this has to be followed by whatever area of business you are in, whatever type of business you are in. This mantra holds good for everybody, irrespective of be it the service sector, manufacturing, or whichever sector, entertainment sector, whichever sector we belong to. This COVID, the new definition of COVID has to be employed in order for us to overcome this difficult time and use it for our advantage. And looking at the other side, the health consciousness of the people all over the world, the importance given to mental health, the importance given to physical health and well-being, the way in which we look at the relationship, the importance which we give to the loved ones near and dear, are all taking different perspective. So these things has to be understood by the research scholars who are present here and by the students who are participants of this particular conference. So having said that, I wish you all a great learning session. I wish all the research scholars and the students who are listening to this particular session and the great learnings decipher that into how that could be transferred into ways in which you can follow in your research themes or in your education. If you're a BCom or a commerce or the management student, how can you take it into your perspective, and what can you implement, and what can you make it happen in your own walk of life? Think it at that point of time, at that point, in that particular manner, and also learn from the great speakers who are lined up for the today's session, and learn from your fellow presenters, and have a great learning session. I once again congratulate the Commerce and Management Department and wish to welcome Ms. Sangeeta and all the other delegates who are participating far and near. And I understand around 200 papers has come in, and that's going to be registrations has happened, and it's going to be presented. Hats off to you, Commerce and Management Department, and all the scholars. Have a great learning session. Stay safe and Jai Hind. Thank you. Over to the MC desk, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. I would like to share a short profile of Mrs. Sangeeta Srinivasan. Mrs. Sangeeta Srinivasan is the Vice President in Bank of America who is managing service delivery in the mortgage space. She has over 20 years of professional career in India and America. At the bank, she champions women in technology programs. Outside of her profession, she is an entrepreneur managing a successful real estate business and gives back to her community in many ways. She works with kids on their public speaking skills and serves as a board member at the Couple Education Foundation. She earned her bachelor's in computer science from Delhi University and holds 2 master's degrees in IT and business administration. We are indeed blessed to have such great personality amongst us today virtually. People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I now invite Mrs. Sangeeta Srinivasan to deliver the inaugural address. Over to you, ma'am.
Greetings, everyone. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Are you able to see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Because usually I have an issue. When I go behind the podium is usually taller than me. So virtual is working fine. I'm honored to inaugurate this international conference on the new normal in business and management. Honorable Principal Dr. K. Chitra, respected Head of the Department of Commerce, Dr. D. Padmavati, respected Head of the Department of Business Administration, Dr. D. Jayanti. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm truly honored. Trustees, faculty, students, guests, and all participants, I extend a warm welcome to all of you. Sri Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science for Women has done a commendable job in bringing us all together on this virtual platform for such a great learning session. Kudos to all the organizers who have made this possible. With that, let me start with an icebreaker, something about myself. I grew up in Delhi. I did all my schooling there. My education is from Delhi. And I have lived in the US for close to 20 years now. And you can see my family picture, cowboys and cowgirls, 2 dogs. Though I grew up in Delhi, Coimbatore has a very special place in my heart. I was born there, all my summer vacation time with my grandparents and my extended family. I cherish all those memories. Had the circumstances been a little bit different, I would have loved to see you all face to face. But this is new normal, right? Everybody is using this term new normal. So what is it? The new normal is a state in which we as an individual or a society settle into after a crisis, which is very different from how we were before the crisis. COVID-19 pandemic has definitely landed us, and it has impacted, if not all, but many aspects of our life. It has changed how we live. It has changed our social life, our markets, our economy, and needless to say, the way we conduct and operate our business. Because pictures are worth 1,000 words. Let's browse through some pictures here to see how the new normal has been. I do want you all to understand that these pictures here are not to make a light of a situation or fun of a situation. COVID-19 is a sensitive topic. Many people have lost their life. They're simply showing what our life new normal has been. COVID-19 has changed how we commute, how we keep our public transportation safe. In the next picture, you can tell it's remote working, how people are balancing their personal and professional lives. Anybody remembers, so about 2 years back, there was this viral video on BBC. A BBC interview went viral. Anyone remembers? A gate crashed an interview. I believe it was Professor Robert Kelly's around 2017. These days, I have my dogs barking around when I'm on a conference call. It has become the normal, right? When everyone is working, my kids are also doing remote schooling. Things have changed. Education has also been very innovative. That's a drive-through graduation. Online schooling has started. Airlines are trying their best to bring back their customers, being the hardest hit, one of the hardest hit. They're trying their best to get the customers and the revenue back. A few more examples of innovative thinking. That's an outdoor fashion show. Drive-throughs and the drive-in theaters are also in. The vote dress reminds me, US presidential elections are happening, and this year I'm thinking that more and more people would prefer to go and turn in their mail-in votes rather than come to the polling booths. But we'll see how things go. And this picture, when I was preparing this deck, I showed it to my daughter and she's like, Mama, would Santa Claus come this year? Would he give me some gifts and presents? All I could tell her was like, just be nice and don't be in the naughty list. As you can see, COVID has changed many aspects of our life. Now let's see how COVID has impacted businesses. It definitely has made a dramatic impact. In the US, it's a very common term to say once in 100 years event. It truly is once in 100 years event. The last global pandemic, I believe, was between 1918 and 1920, the Spanish flu. Come 2020, we have the COVID-19 situation, which has upended all expectations for this year. It's definitely a global health crisis and an international economic threat. It has unprecedented impact, and here are some metrics that show. I have here the US GDP chart. The GDP dropped to 34% in the second quarter this year. You probably have to go back to 1930s to see this kind of a drop. Unemployment has risen. It shot up rapidly in second quarter to a high of 15%, and since then has come down a bit. Last I checked in October, it was around 8.4. And 80% of these losses came from the low income segments, impacting those workers disproportionately. In the US, around 6.6 million people applied for unemployment in the week ending March 28th. That was a single highest spike in US history for a week. I tried to cite some more examples to show the impact of COVID on business. Here you can see, this is the airline industry, one of the hard hit, as I mentioned. Air travel in 2020 came to a standstill and it's slowly recovering. 2020 total air traffic will probably be comparable to levels in late 1990s. So the question that the businesses and companies are having, all of them definitely have to navigate through the social and the operational challenges. They are thinking, how many months can I survive with virtually no revenue, with literally zero revenue environment? Is my liquidation position good? Because cash is king. Do we hunker down or do we transform? How do we protect our talent and retain key resources? So far, businesses responded with crisis management as the first response to COVID threats. And rightly so, everyone had to show some sense of urgency. From implementing shutdowns across various businesses to short-term logistic changes for their employees or workforce, pardoning of some financial obligations, and so many things, all part of crisis management. But 6 months into this COVID situation, it's time for the companies to act and not react. They must come up with an improvised plans to sustain over a period of time. There are many different ways to lead, regardless of type of the business or geography. I believe there are some key things that businesses are taking up to pave a path to emerge strong and resilient in this kind of situation. And all this with a sense of possibility. Let's take a look at the very first focus area, reimagining the workforce. People management is and will always be a critical part because people are the biggest assets of a company. Now, workplace plans have always been under continuous recalibration. Change is the only constant in the world, right? Overnight, we have been asked to work from home. The chart on the right top corner will show you the dark blue bars are showing you the numbers of remote work before the COVID situation. Come COVID, the light blue bar shot up. And it's not just in the information technology industry. You can see it across many other sectors like education, health, even manufacturing. And that's a pretty significant jump right there. Executive leadership have seen benefits of working from home given this current situation. They have seen cost savings from reduced travel and also the positive environmental impact. Now comes the question of how do business make these things work on a long-term basis? McKinsey did a survey and found that many companies are trying to figure out a hybrid model, something that would work for their company, their culture. The questions these companies are asking, this is the new normal, fine, but what would business as usual look like in 15 months from now? How should work be distributed across and delivered across the enterprise? How will we balance our reduced budget and the need for investments, the increased need for investments? The chart here at the bottom, as I mentioned, is a McKinsey survey where companies have taken into consideration various parameters like the cost of real estate, employee productivity, and access to talent. While I would say one size may not fit all, again, the companies would have to take into consideration the best model that would fit, but the common considerations for them would be employee safety. Flexibility will also be one of their top priorities. Employee choice is also important. It's another consideration for future workforce. You must consider the new desires and needs and what it means for a productivity of a team. Now, once you have figured out a model that would work for you, engaging the future workforce, you need to have a plan to make sure the employee engagement is there in whether it's a remote situation or in-person situation or a hybrid model. Finally, whatever plan the companies choose has to be sustainable over time. They have to be resilient in a way that, okay, come this challenge, we have overcome that, but what about the other issues that may crop up, other situations that may crop up? Now that we have looked at reimagining workforce, what do you think goes hand in hand with this? Yes, reimagining the leadership. Once the models are set, top executives will need to question, reassess, and redefine their managerial thinking. They will have to re-examine the context in which they have to make the decisions now. Some of the basic wisdom, managerial things that we have learned may become foundation but then it has to change over the situation. Leaders need to stay informed. Right now, I don't know about all of you, but I'm bombarded with a lot of information, right? A lot of information for me to intake. Leaders have to look into this, not just at a global level, but also look at the localized information so that they can support their teams, suppliers, or vendors in their local markets. Leaders should look at the big picture. Despite so much of chaos and disruption to business as usual, the leaders have to look and keep constantly be in alignment with the mission, vision, and the values of the organization. The third one is my favorite, over communicate. It's always better than under communicating and dropping a ball somewhere. The leadership needs to talk to their teams. By over communicating, what I mean is making sure that the teams are getting the information from their leadership. It may be redundant, but it's very good practice to have that consistent and constant touch with your team members. And this will enable build their trust and empower their teams. Now, given for a workplace model where it's very virtual, how do you measure the performance of the team? The KPIs that we have had traditionally may also have to be tweaked. You have to come up with some outcome-based objectives to measure the metrics of the team's deliverables. All in all, given the situation is so sensitive, we have to cater to the individual's needs. We have to be sensitive. As a leader, we have to be sensitive to individual needs. And always prepare for future, which again goes hand in hand with the resiliency. Leaders have to guide, inspire, enable teams, and help them overcome any kind of bureaucratic challenge that may bog down. Let's take a look at the next focus area. This is about metamorphosis of demand. Can you all think of an example where demand has gone down drastically? Many examples, many examples, right? Like so many companies have shut down, so many companies have filed for bankruptcies. Travel and tourism comes to my mind because I love to travel and it's like, I'm stuck here, not able to do much. But now if I ask you, can you guys give me an example of a company or organization where the demand has gone up? All of us are stuck in the house. So yes, entertainment, streaming services. Another example could be pharmaceuticals. In the US, even the government, the demand has gone up. Remember the unemployment benefits that people have applied for that I just mentioned? The amount of work that the government has to do to cater to those unemployment benefits, that's a big jump in the demand. What I'm trying to get here is like with so many unprecedented changes in the demand and demand having shifted online across many categories. For example, number of consumers using digital channels has increased. In banking, I can tell you, according to one of the McKinsey survey, about 13% of the retail customers expect to use mobile banking. So the companies who have already started using a digital enablement are in a better position. They are positioned to fare better compared to their counterparts. Companies see a clear shift in the digital among consumers and it's an inevitable impact. Not just B2C, but also B2B, business to business. Companies are making decisions based on how their counterparts are. They are making tough choices on mergers, acquisitions, and divestitures. Mostly, to identify a demand in a regular scenario, companies would use the historical models. They would rely on the historical data, right? The historical data to look, extrapolate that, do some trends, and then forecast. Okay, my demand is going to look like this in third quarter. Oh, this is a high. This is a season for holidays. My demand is go up based on historical data. But now all those data may not be much relevant. Businesses have to come up with new analytical, they have to rebuild these analytical models to make sure that they are performing their operational decisions the right way. Another example that I want to cite here is about there would not be a fixed run of record or a sales pitch that the sales team could use. They would have to try different things, have their hits and misses, and learn and implement those learnings from whatever retrospectives they are having into their learning platform. Along with demand, supply, even on the supply side, the supply chains have to be re-established. Gone are those days when you are having a single thread supply. Now you want to have a fallback plan. Make sure that you have multiple folks to fall back on. A plan B, plan C, to make sure that supply chain is robust. Let's look at the last but not the least area of focus. This is about resetting technology. This is my most favorite. I'm very passionate about technology, so I might get into the weeds of it. But let me see if I can stay on top. In the previous slides, we have seen reimagining workforce. Technology plays a key role there. How can people be working from home if your infrastructure is not strong? All that by now, the C-suite executives have already led the companies to digitize at least some part of their business. The banks have transitioned to remote sales and service teams and launched digital outreach to customers to make flexible payment arrangements for loans and mortgages. That's an example. So digital transformation has been big, and the chart shows you the numbers here. Digitization and standardization of processes enables flexibility. Continuing to operate on legacy systems that are not agile may no longer be acceptable. Moving to cloud may be the solution to make sure the consumers are able to access information from anywhere using any kind of a device. Leveraging digital orchestration tools, making use of collaboration tools for your virtual teams, all these are part of technology. Technology, the landscape of technology definitely has changed. And in all this, cybersecurity is one area that stands out. It's very important to not only protect your company's confidential data, but also to protect the customer's confidential information. Companies have launched machine learning and artificial intelligence and many other innovative ideas into their operations. All this helps with speed to market. Let me not go too much into technology now that you understand its impact across so many other areas. Let's see, the big question for you right now. New normal is a new mindset to adapt to unprecedented changes. It's a catalyst for out-of-box thinking. In this situation, sometimes it's out of necessity thinking too. Are you all prepared to thrive in this new normal? I would positively think so. This pandemic provides a unique opportunity to all of you to play offense rather than defense, to take a more proactive approach to leveraging the advancements of technology and making use of the new ways of working, and seizing the opportunity to begin your transformational journey. I have listed some of the skills from my own experience You might think these are all foundational. Yes, they are, but they are more relevant in this current scenario. You have to know your strengths. You have to ask yourself, what am I uniquely good at that the world needs and willing to pay? Unless you want to do some pro bono work, totally fine, totally okay. But this is the time to work on your strengths. Make sure what you are good at and how you can deliver the best. The next one is to improve your learning agility. Before talking about learning, I want to say it's not just learning, it's also about unlearning some of the things. Given this challenge, right? Some of the things have been given this situation, some of the things have been challenged. You would and you should be able to unlearn something and suit to this current situation. The ability to unlearn and learn new things is very important. Companies always look for people who continuously learn and adapt. So if you think about knowing your strengths as an IQ, I would put learning agility as an emotional quotient too. You have to be able to adapt, you have to be agile, you have to learn quickly so you can perform in the cross-functional teams that the companies may have in future. All the while, have a growth mindset. Some of you may be just coming out of this college to start into a workforce. Some of you may aspire to start your own business. Have a growth mindset. Look for the opportunities. Make sure that you are networking. Network, network, network. And I haven't said that enough. I'm a true believer of networking. I attend a lot of meetings. I go to my Toastmasters club. I meet a lot of people, meet and greet. Of course, this was different back then. Now it is all virtual. But you connect with people. You never know when is the right time and the right opportunity. Seize them. Get some time on people's calendar. Make sure you respect their time. And it's always think that it's very mutual. The final thing, lean on your mentors. Mentors have experience that you might not have at this time, but that's a great avenue to learn quickly. I have always had mentors, be it my professional career or be my business. I have always leaned on my mentors to learn. And no question is a dumb question, right? I go to them with so many things that's going on in my mind. And in one session, one meeting, or one phone call, I get them clarified. It really helps a lot. With that said, I want to wish you all the very best in your future endeavor in whatever opportunities you want to take. Thank you so much for having me here. Best wishes and stay safe and enjoy the rest of this conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words. Now we have the souvenir release of the conference. We have received around 2 papers from in and around Tamil Nadu. I now invite Dr. K. Chitra, Principal, Dr. D. Jayanti, Head of the Department of Business Administration, and Dr. D. Padmavati, Head of the Department of Commerce, to release the conference souvenir. Thank you. Now we present to you few glimpses of the papers received for the presentation in the conference. Thank you. Behind every successful woman is herself. Now I would like to share a short profile of Mrs. Shubha Rajesh, Technology Program Manager, IT Governance and Operations, Lawn Depot, Texas, USA. If you want to fly high, give up everything that weighs you down. Mrs. Shubha Rajesh is an experienced leader who has more than 19 years of experience in various technology and management consulting leadership roles. She has completed her bachelor's degree in electrical and electronics engineering from PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore, and a master's degree in business administration from University of Texas, USA. Mrs. Shubha Rajesh is currently managing the Direct Channel Program in IT Governance and Operations. She worked as the Senior Infrastructure Program Manager at Citi and Infrastructure Program Manager for Club Corp. She has served as account manager and program manager for a variety of Fortune 100 companies, including banking, finance, hospitality, and telecom. She functioned as account manager at Tata Consultancy Services Limited. Her career experience spans the globe to include Asia, Europe, Mexico, and United States, crafting technology solutions for technology, banking and financial services, and hospitality sectors. We are indeed pleased to have Mrs. Shubha Rajesh, who has joined us virtually. I now invite Mrs. Shubha Rajesh to share few words. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you for that excellent introduction. I would like to extend my special thanks to Dr. Jayanti, Dr. Chitra, and Dr. Padmavati for inviting me to speak at the International Virtual Conference organized by Sri Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science for Women, Coimbatore. I deem it a great honor to share my insights on the most relevant topic of today, technology challenges in the pandemic's new normal. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Let's move on to the agenda. Next slide. Hello, can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for changing that slide. I hope you're able to hear me now. The next half hour, we'll go over some of the top technology challenges and how to address them. We'll touch upon the future of customer engagement and experience. And finally, on a lighter topic, I'll share insights from a survey taken from technologists. Next slide, please. The coronavirus outbreak forced companies around the world to adjust to a new reality that is itself still under construction. Although economies are timidly reopening, they do so while keeping an eye on the epidemiologic evolution to shape accordingly. And even though the future is still unknown, one thing is sure. As people adjust to this new normal, where the most mundane activities move to the online sphere, technology adoption will continue to skyrocket. This poses opportunities for businesses to develop new digital strategies and even find new business streams. Still, it also entails a few challenges and risks that executives should keep in mind. Next slide, please. Now, that said, here are some of the top technology challenges that companies will face, already facing in the second half of 2020 and onwards. So let's start discussing about information security. As digital becomes the default, businesses must be extra vigilant in detection and prevention of cyber threats. Similarly, as remote work becomes a new norm, executives express great concern about attacks targeting their work from home employees. Phishing attacks, malspams, and ransomware attacks disguised as legitimate applications related to COVID-19 are the most common attacks affecting not only remote employees, but also the end users. The next one is cloud computing. COVID crisis has boosted the adoption of cloud computing. In a period of uncertainty, where employees work from home, cloud computing has been crucial to resume business as usual. Although its benefits are well known, scalability at the push of a button, accessibility from any device at any location, pay-per usage pricing, there are still a few concerns that haven't vanished and that executives still have have to have in mind. The list includes security and privacy concerns, management complexity, vendor lock-in, performance and access speed. Moving on to integration and upgrades. To stay competitive, companies need to constantly assess and improve their processes and technology. But customizing existing packages or aging systems takes time and money. The simplest solution is to integrate new tools with existing legacy technology instead of rebuilding from scratch. However, if not done with proper training and management, it can impact the adoption of the new product. Next slide, please. Automation and robotics. Now, with the sudden urgency to go digital, companies that had already invested in robotic process automation, business process management, and other automation methods were in better position to face new business demands. Companies still relying on legacy processes were pushed to the limit and exposed to their inefficiencies and reliance on manual processing. In times of crisis, where companies need to cut expenses, automation may not be a priority, but one thing that this crisis shows us is that automation matters. However, executives need to be cautious when implementing RPA and other automation technology, particularly when it comes to security. And as automation solves more complex business tasks, employee adoption. Moving on to artificial intelligence and machine learning. We've been hearing about AI's power and its disruptive capabilities for decades. But AI has now hit the mainstream. From facial recognition to language translators and assistants like Siri and Alexa, it is already part of the new normal. But companies are also bringing AI into business operations to automate processes and enhance their customer and employee experience. AI can free employees from more laborious and time-consuming tasks to focus on creative and innovative projects. The technological challenge is how companies will manage the relationship between employees and AI machines, as the latter will replace the need for certain skills and increase the demand for others. Skills gap. Both business leaders and laggards are affected by skill shortages and talent gaps that hinder the rapid adoption of modern IT architectures needed for agility. Leaders have less of a challenge hiring full stack developers because of the approaches and tools they use and because of the quality of work they get to do. So rather than working on keeping legacy systems alive, they get to work on newer projects. Last but not least is business continuity and disaster recovery plans. Business continuity and disaster recovery plans have been around for a long time, but with companies facing staffing shortages and unavailable workers and services, they've gained new importance in 2020. Although worldwide pandemics aren't that common, natural disasters, human-made disasters, and security threats like malware attacks are quite common, and companies should be ready to ensure a smooth recovery process and continuity of operations. Now, next slide. It's a short video on the technology impacts due to COVID-19. Video, please.
Depending on which side of the tech industry they exist, the coronavirus outbreak is either a boon or the bane of a company's business. As companies urge their employees to work from home, those employees turn to apps like Zoom for video conferencing and Slack for communication. And as you can imagine, Zoom and Slack are doing quite well now. Likewise, as people opt to or are forced to stay home, they may turn to delivery services like DoorDash, Postmates, and Instacart to get food and supplies without having to risk exposing themselves. These tech companies also continue to thrive. Naturally, as those bound to their homes seek to find entertainment to pass the long hours, streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and YouTube will likely see an increase in use. Movie theaters, on the other hand, will likely see reduced occupancy, potentially sending a message to Hollywood that it may want to consider switching gears. Also, as travel is declining, booking sites like Expedia, Kayak, and Travelocity are seeing a sharp decrease in new business and a notable uptick in cancellations. Coronavirus will also have an effect on the tech hardware business, and it all comes down to a term we rely on every day without necessarily understanding it or being actively aware of it: supply chain. The brand name on the front of a phone or laptop or TV only tells you who designed it. Assembling all the parts is a complicated web of contractors, subcontractors, and warehouses which go completely unseen. For example, there is indeed a factory that makes TVs, but that factory doesn't necessarily make the TV screen. The screen is made by another factory. The processing chip is made at a different factory, and the power supply may be made at yet another factory. You get the idea. It's all interconnected. If just one factory or supplier is shut down, the entire system can grind to a halt. Apple has already indicated it will likely not be able to make a sufficient supply of its smartphones for the year. You can expect that to be true of other smartphone makers as well, and we'll likely see a shorter supply of others like TVs, washers, dryers, refrigerators, computers, and many other items. The shortfall won't be felt immediately, but as warehouses empty and the cargo ships currently sailing stop arriving as frequently, we can expect to see a goods and rising prices as demand increases. Is the specter of a shortage of major appliances and phones likely to lead to the same sort of panic that has store shelves bare of toilet paper? Hopefully not. These are high-cost items and perhaps less prone to be hoarded. But as we all endure this coronavirus event, we should be prepared for our typical consumer-based behaviors to change at least a little bit, if not a lot.
Thank you. Next slide. So now we look at addressing how the technology challenges introduced by COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the way people work and where they work. Technology is more essential than ever as companies quickly shift to an almost fully remote workforce and implement new solutions to cope with challenges we are facing today. So the remote workforce transition. Let's ask questions. Is your technology allowing you to function as a truly remote workforce? Your technology should provide your team the ability to fully function from outside the office as if they were inside the office while retaining the same level of security. Workflows, policies, and procedures may be adapted to ensure there is a solution in place for every job function that must be completed. Are you able to communicate effectively with your internal team, vendors, and clients using your current solutions? Cloud-based phone and video conferencing solutions are not all created equal, and it's critical that the solution you invest in is robust enough to support the needs of your team safely as well as fit your budget. Are your competitors able to perform aspects of your job that you cannot? Now, businesses that cannot perform job functions remotely will no longer be competitive with businesses that have invested and implemented technology solutions to allow their team to remain productive outside of the office. As the speed of preserving functionality taken precedence over security when shifting your team to working remotely? By implementing solutions at such a speed, due diligence has not been performed. Testing has been forgotten and security has been an afterthought. If you have recently implemented solutions without proper controls or laxed your security protocols, by allowing personal equipment, foregoing multi-factor authentication, or accepting unsecure remote connections, engage your technology partner to provide direction to mitigate these risks. The next one is technology support. Questions to be asked. Have expectations of daily IT support been coordinated and communicated effectively to your team? Whether your IT support is internal or through an outside vendor, everyone's support process have been challenged during COVID-19. It's imperative that you coordinate and communicate with your team when support is available. If on-site support is an option, what are the limitations of support? That is, would you support a home user's internet connection, etc.? What have you retained your ability to monitor and keep your systems up to date? Cyber criminals known that users are in an emotional situation and outside of their comfort zone, which is an incentive to step up their game to try and gain access to your internal and client data. It's imperative that your IT team, internal or external, continues to monitor all company-owned equipment, accesses, and have solid patch management systems in place to keep your software up to date. Now, if you outsource your IT support, what resources and solutions have they offered to allow you to remain functional and secure throughout the pandemic? Many technology vendors have come forward in this time of need to offer free or long-term trials of popular products designed to accommodate their new norm of working from home. Your technology partner should be able to make the right recommendations based on your business needs. Now, if you handle your technology internally, do you have a partner to rely on to look out for these offerings on your behalf? Internal IT teams are generally staffed to focus on the now. By partnering with the proper technology partner, you have someone you can trust who's looking ahead on your behalf. Security awareness. Now, your employees can be your strongest line of defense as well as your weakest link. What has your business done to increase the tech savvy of your team since the arrival of COVID-19? As your work environment changes, so does the threat landscape. Making some additions to your normal security awareness training specific to best practices of working from home, that is, limitation of printing, keeping your home work environment private, securing your home network, etc., are the great first steps. Are you continuing to provide your pre-COVID-19 security awareness training? So that's an important factor to keep in mind. Business continuance. Now, has your business continuity plan been effective during COVID-19 crisis? While most organizations have some level of business continuity planning, many have not developed a plan to address a pandemic outbreak. Those organizations with pandemic planning should be sure to document their successes and failures during this event to strengthen the pandemic strategy moving forward. Now, if your organization did not have a pandemic plan, you are now dealing with these issues real time. In this case, it is even more important to keep detailed documentation or actions taken and whether those actions were successful. Now, this would include, but not limited to, changes in HR policies, remote workforce strategy, security and process control changes, communication planning, and productivity measures. Now, have your policies and procedures revolving around security and technology been overlooked for the sake of business continuance? Now, as companies have reacted to the pandemic outbreak, many have adopted new technologies and policies surrounding team or client communication and the remote access. Now, has your organization assessed and prioritized essential business functions and processes that may be affected by a pandemic? The identification of essential business functions is critical to the success of any pandemic planning process. Now, due to reduced staffing, businesses need to ensure that all available resources are focused on only essential services and processes. Other important questions to be considered here are, have HR policies been expanded to address staffing disruption, payroll, healthcare, and absenteeism? And has your organization identified the legal and regulatory requirements for the institution's business functions and processes? Like many businesses are required to meet certain legal and regulatory requirements. This is especially true for organizations that are subject to federal and state oversight, such as finance, healthcare, and insurance. And the last question is, has your organization evaluated the plans of critical service providers for operating during a pandemic? Next slide, please. Now, how do we see the future of customer engagement and experience? So let's rebound, reimagine, re-architect. Now, in times of crisis, it's natural to focus on the here and now. True leaders, meanwhile, are looking ahead to what's next. What will the business landscape look like once the crisis has subsided? So how do we protect ourselves moving forward? Rethink face-to-face. Now, the new need for remote work is challenging businesses to reevaluate their operating environment, particularly in the context of commerce, marketing, sales, and service. In our new normal, how much face-to-face interaction is really necessary? Consider what's happening in the consulting industry. Business customers have typically expected the consultants they hire to be physically on-site for at least some portion of the project. However, these businesses are now learning that remote work can actually improve productivity, and it might be most cost-effective as well, given the high office space and travel expenses. So the key question to be addressed here, how will you adapt your communication style and operational processes to help your customers remain comfortable and confident with less direct interaction? Restructuring the service delivery. Now, customer expectations around service are also shifting. In a low-touch environment, do-it-yourself service may be far more appropriate than direct visits from service personnel. At its most sophisticated, an innovative service delivery model might include options like a website that is equipped with AI-powered bots that help customers diagnose an issue, a supply chain that enables same-day parts delivery to the customer call centers, which can be similarly restructured. Now, these employees no longer need to be physically present in the call center office. Instead, businesses are finding that call center staff can effectively perform their work from any location if they are equipped and empowered to do so. So the key question to be addressed here is, how can you enable your customers to build their own service experience? What systems, tools, and processes will enable your employees to provide the high quality service in a low touch environment? Let's reinvention the retail. In this emerging remote world, perhaps no industry faces greater challenges than brick and mortar retail. As shoppers are increasingly forced to order their goods online, these new behaviors become even more ingrained into daily life. Considering the brick and mortar stores were already struggling to compete with the internet, how much harder will it be for these stores to survive in a post-crisis world? The key question that needs to be addressed here is, what new in-person and digital shopping customer experiences can you envision and build to help customers shop and buy in ways they now prefer? The next is, last but not least, rediscovering direct-to-customer channels. Along with the re-envisioned retail industry, companies must also reevaluate the channels through which they connect with their customers. Finding new ways to reach customers, it's not just a nice to have, it's a dire necessity. The travel industry, for example, has been hit hard in recent weeks. Where the industry in the past leaned so heavily on travel agents, historically, 43% of travelers book airfare and 70% book cruises via third parties. What happens if those third-party businesses do not survive? In this new environment, travel companies must suddenly figure out how to build relationships with their customers directly so as to neither lose revenue nor disrupt the booking experience the customers have come to expect. The key question to be addressed here: what new opportunities have presented themselves that enable you to reach more customers, and how are you taking advantage of these opportunities? So how do we build a new normal? Which is readying ourselves for the future. In this bold new future, everything is a candidate for change: marketing, sales, commerce, service, and support. Why not use this occasion to proactively challenge long-held norms and lead the way to a stronger industry capable of delivering far superior customer experiences? Ultimately, it's about identifying what needs to change and building the systems needed to support these changes. Be prepared to rebound from the crisis. Reimagine what this new world can look like and re-architect your physical and digital presence to make this new vision a reality. Times of crisis eventually subside and life returns to normal, even if normal looks a little different. But when this happens, be wary of becoming complacent. Understand that at some point in hopefully far off future, some new crisis will likely inevitably arise. Many businesses were not prepared for our current crisis, and as a result, they've been forced into reactive positions as they struggle to survive. On the one hand, this is understandable. This crisis has been unprecedented. However, your challenge as a business leader is to prepare yourself for the next unprecedented crisis. Surviving a crisis is not about just shoring up the bottom line or minimizing the economic impact to the businesses. What can you do now that will enable you to proactively adapt, evolve, and lead the way next time? All right, now, next slide. Are you all ready to take an easy polling question? So I want the audience actually to type in mentimeter.com in your browser and then click on join a presentation. And as you can see on the screen, you can type the code 9404981 to enter your the poll question. We'll be giving it about a couple of minutes for you all to enter and answer your poll question, and then we'll display the results. So the question was, which East Asian country has done well in handling COVID-19 without national lockdown, shelter in place, quarantine, or closing down their economy? So 40%, 41% have answered that it is Singapore, and 28% South Korea. So 10% Taiwan and 0%, 9% Hong Kong. So the right answer is South Korea. Thanks, everyone. So all right. So we'll move on to our technologists really fleeing big cities for greener pastures. So this was one of the surveys taken amongst technologists, and ever since the COVID-19 pandemic began, the tech industry has been gripped by a once-in-a-lifetime debate. If technologists are forced to work remotely, should they continue living in expensive cities such as San Francisco and New York, or should they consider moving to places with a cheaper cost of living? Major tech companies have complicated the issue somewhat. Now, while firms such as Facebook, VMware, and Twitter have announced that majority of their employees can work from home on a permanent basis, others such as Netflix and Microsoft have made it clear that they want employees back in the office eventually. That's not the only complication here, but it illustrates how technologists everywhere will wrestle with some pretty complex issues in the months and years ahead. Next slide, please. So here is what we got, the breakdown for New York City and Bay Area. And here's a breakdown for New York City. Nonetheless, the overall trend seems to mirror that of Bay Area. It's a non-significant minority of technologists that have left the city. So most of them have decided to stay in the same expensive cities. And next slide, please. So here what we are seeing is these are the Seattle trends, right? Microsoft will let some staff work from home routinely post-pandemic. The software giant's move is the latest sign that coronavirus has led to enduring changes in the workplace. So, and what we see is Austin also reinforces how majority of technologists aren't moving away. So for those employees who do decide to flee their expensive city while keeping their current job, things could get interesting, especially if companies such as Facebook and VMware make good on their promise to cut remote workers' salaries to reflect an adjusted cost of living. According to a COVID-19 sentiment survey, technologists are extremely opposed to any kind of pay cut for living and working remotely. After all, they're doing the same job as they went into the office. Why should they take home a smaller paycheck? Okay, next slide. And let's do a poll before we end our session. So once again, I request the audience to go to mentimeter.com and then join a presentation. Please type this new code 5020926 that you see on the screen. So this is a fun question. It's for the Generation Z, or they're called the Zoomers. So the question goes, what type of a Zoomer are you? It's a multiple choice question. So have fun answering. All of you are welcome to answer multiple, can choose multiple choices as well. So it's nice to know that you all have all these different choices, right? The one walking around the house, the one who just woke up, the one without camera on, the one who always talks, the one doing funny faces. Okay. So I guess two of the choices are topping the chart. So it's nice to know that most of you are the ones walking around the house. It's a good choice. Oh, the one who always talks is top now. So I guess it's locked at this time. Thanks for all your choices here on the poll. And that brings us to the end of my presentation here. I want to leave you with this thought: storms don't last forever. So it's been a privilege to spend time with a group of young and aspiring students. Good luck and wishing you all success. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your views.
Thank you.
A little progress every day adds up to a big result. Today, we have with us Mr. K. Annamalai, Managing Director, Annamalai Capital Services Private Limited. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Don't wait for the perfect moment. Take the moment and make it perfect. Here, I would like to share a profile of Mr. K. Annamalai. Mr. K. Annamalai is the Managing Director of Annamalai Capital Services Private Limited. He established a skill-based financial training center, ACS Capital Market Academy, associated with NSE and BSc. He has completed 3 postgraduate programs along with diploma in personal management and also diploma in commodity trading. At present, he is doing PhD in financial derivatives. Mr. K. Annamalai started his career as an accountant. Later, he joined a multinational company as an executive HRD and admin. He is the founder member of Coimbatore Stock Exchange Limited. Mr. K. Annamalai is the managing trustee of Anusha Keshavan Charitable Trust. He is the resource person for many business schools, universities, and also serves as the member of Board of Studies for many autonomous colleges. Signed MOU with colleges for providing practical aspects for financial market. We are indeed honored to have such a great personality with us virtually as our resource person. Once again, I welcome you, sir. May I now call upon Mr. K. Annamalai to share few words. Over to you, sir. Kindly unmute, sir. Kindly unmute your mic, sir.
You aren't enabled to the screen sharing.
It's enabled, sir. Now it's enabled.
Just I'll see that. Enable.
பண்ணிட்டேன் சார். அது என்ன அந்த செஷன் முடிஞ்சதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் பண்ணுவாங்க சார்.
Only screen share option.
எனேபிள் பண்ணிட்டேன்னு சொன்னாங்க சார்.
We can hear you, sir.
நம்ம போட்டோ வரல.
கூகுள் மீட் அலோவ் சார்.
Visible, sir.
Ma'am, could you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Yeah.
It is
Okay.
visible, sir.
Okay. Okay. It's over to me. Can I start or any formalities?
Yes, sir. No, sir. You can start, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, friends. Good morning to everyone, and hope that every one of you missing the opportunity of mingling in the classroom. Probably this is the new normal, and we are supposed to have in your seminar hall or a conference hall or auditorium this kind of a program. This is the new normal. You are all sitting at home, I am sitting at my office, the faculties are sitting at their place, and we could able to interact. And this is the post-COVID-19 situation. Friends, I think this is a you have full day seminar and various people are presenting papers on this. I'm not sure that sometimes some of the points may be repetitive, and probably someone have explained earlier, maybe included in my points. However, I will go on more on the practical side of how the new normal in business and management. First, let me is new normal. What is now? What see? You know normal. Now you are heading the word called new normal. Even I am also surprised when your faculty, when your ma'am gave me this topic about to talk on new normal. Mr. Roger McNamee, who coined this term, this is not a new right now. This term has been, because that means that similar situation had happened many more times in the past. So what do you mean by that? The new normal means is a state to which an economy or a society, etc., settles the following crisis. That is presently what we are talking about, COVID-19. When this differs from the prior to start of the crisis. That means that prior to COVID-19 what was, and post COVID-19 what is the situation. So this is how we work that. COVID-19 brought us a big lockdown, new way of living, new way of work culture, the interaction. We have learned to adapt our lifestyle to live with them. Live with them means whom? With the COVID-19. Now almost, that from March and till now. And now we learned to adapt a new way of living and live with this kind of a COVID pandemic situations. The similar situation that happened also that, 90s, this was the most talked about the virus, we talked about it. And since 1990, still we have not found a vaccine for it. But we have learned to adapt to having HIV in the world. You understand, friends? So we are all, that we are very good at adapt to the situation. Curing, whether we get a vaccine or alternative or not, we are good at that. So therefore, our level of adaptation and the changes we have to make in our lives is much higher. So that is how the adaptation and changes considered as a new normal. Get my point, friends. I hope that probably someone would have already explained to you was introduced to you. Probably I thought that I will prepare you, take it to specific application, this new normal, how it has happened in the business as well as in the management. Am I clear, friends? Thank you so much. We will proceed that how this new normal have brought a change. What is new normal we are living? We have to wear face masks outside all the time. This is the biggest changes we had. And all employees started work from home. This is again brought a new culture in the business and the new HR policy and getting work from the staff and employees, but outside the location of the office premises and the factory premises. Still we need to coordinate and get work from them. And all the conference like today, what we are doing that all conferences, meeting, discussions in the business, everything is now it's through Zoom. We don't meet each other. There is no, every corporate today, the board meeting is happening through the Zoom, and annual general meeting, all kind of discussions. The life is changed. We want to have an expert from Bombay or a Delhi or anywhere. Right now, there is no traveling taking place, and the people sit at the respective places. Still, we have a meeting. We continue the different kind of in the business environment. Schools and colleges do not have classrooms. Now they go with a virtual teaching. Even if it is opened, probably they may reduce the size of the classes, probably that social distancing norms. And probably we may not be able to accommodate the same kind of students what we earlier accommodate in the same classroom. And even family, now they cook a lot more at home, because going to a hotel and restaurants has become, last 6 months, it become a very difficult task, and people not going there. And probably either they prepare the cook at home or the food delivered at home often. Then what we now understand, these are all the social changes that happened. I go particularly how this new normal is in the business as well as in the management. See, e-business, that is the most important, it happening in the situation, post-pandemic situation, especially COVID-19, and online food ordering, video on demand. The e-business have been emerging as a major business sector in the post-COVID-19 situation. This has changed the lifestyle. This has changed the entire business attitude and shopping method. So business have been, some of the business, the most of the businesses, what was probably that drastically there are changes. Some businesses, some kind of a business may die, some may flourish better than earlier. See, the restaurants, it's no longer allow people to seat the same number of people due to social distancing. That means what? If a restaurant is accommodating around 100 people, if it is able to do that 40 to 50, that means the 50% strength comes down, that much business will go down, that much profitability will be affected. So there has been lot of changes happening in the restaurant, hotels, leisure, travels, so on. So there is another things happen in that increase everywhere. Now you notice that wherever people go there is a sanitation facilities, hand sanitation doing and going. So this have changed our mindset and the lifestyle and everywhere. This is the new normal situation, the business happening. And everywhere you find that people are checking the temperature. Okay, when you enter into any business house or any shop, try to check the temperature. So this has changed the entire attitude, and cinemas and airlines will mandate space out seating. These are all the worst affected the businesses in the post-pandemic situation. The cinema hall still not opened, or probably yet to be opened, or soon they are going to open it. Airlines, that airline, one of the biggest elephant in the business, making break even is a very tough task. But the post-pandemic brought this kind of an industries, especially tourism, hotel, restaurant, airlines, resort, all this business is going to face a tremendous pressure in the post-pandemic situation. Transport, like buses and trains. IRCTC, one of the largest listed company using the train travels. The share price has fallen almost around 50% because last 6 months, no trains, even the train started recently, not allowed to have a full booking and full reservations, and all these things change situations. So due to all these things, ultimately what will happen is that the price may be higher to cover their operations in those areas wherever the business is going to become halts, and there the prices definitely is going to be increased. Even today that Indigo have announced that every check-in at the airport per passenger 100 rupees will be collected check-in charges. operations are increasing, whereas the travel persons are coming down. Naturally, the particular industry have to adapt and also consider the cost of operation, which have to be passed on to the passengers. Thus, that will increase your travel cost. And especially, that this situation has given a new dimension to the and the most rapid transformation of the workplace. That this is the biggest challenges every industry, every establishment is facing for the last 6 months. Of course, we are very quick at adapt to the situations, and COVID-19 is a catalyst to reinvent the future work for the managers who take the opportunity they were. That this is this is giving a challenge to reinvent the future work style. Every manager have to think now that when the employees are not in the particular locations and they located in different areas, how to give an opportunity, how to make them work better, and how to get more productivity, and the behavioral changes, attitudinal changes, and the environmental changes. So many changes are happening in the post-normal. And so that is the biggest management challenging. Still, we are going ahead. And new technology initiate the new roles to encourage a new skill. And so the changes, the role is changing to find out in the post-pandemic situation. This is the biggest challenge. Of course, some of the industry have adapted well, and some of them on the way to process, on the way to change, but still a lot more to be done. That is what the most things. A rapid reskilling and upskilling is going on in every industry today, because the same skill earlier, we used to teach in the classroom. I used to see one-to-one the students, every faculties, teachers, lecturers see the students and interact. Used to have a teaching in the classroom. Today, that we have to teach you through a Zoom, through an online. You have to use your all technological applications to change I have to reskill myself. Not only reskill myself, I have to upskill myself to adapt to the technology changes, how to teach you on virtual classroom and through an online platform, and how to explain, how to understand your reactions and my reaction. That when we do the direct classroom language, we understand each other, we look at your face and understand whether you are getting my points or not. But today I have to change my skill, how to teach you online. Not only I have to reskill myself, and also I have to upskill myself. So quick adaptation, new and advanced technology is the new normal life. And management competitiveness, that is more important, friends. It was not only changing the leadership, and also that I have to improve the management competitiveness in the new normal situation. It's no longer as it was. I go through in my subsequent slides how it is happening. And the most important today that we live in a world, everybody under a grip of fear, and I'm not sure about the future. So there is a fear, and also there is uncertainties. It is a very challenging task to live in a business environment, in the management environment. How to be, if I am a fearless, my working style will be different. In the future, my working environment will be different. Today, I live in a fear as well as uncertainty. Then very difficult to get a productivity and also a comfortable zone and so on. So the business have been affected very much because everyone live in a fear and uncertainties. And this is the new normal today, because we all live in a fear and uncertainties. Furthermore, friends, when you work, in my absence, because you want to work at a home and you are working in a distance way, and the culture of trust and transparency and openness is more important, because I have to trust you. Transparency in the working style and the openness should be there. So there is a lot of changes happening in the situation post-pandemic, and rethinking of a social contracts and redefining the future of work and consumptions. This is a very, very great challenges. I don't know how many of you have watched the consumption style. The well, and the home and the society makes a lot of changing in the business environment. You follow, my friends? There is a consumption pattern. The consumption pattern have been changed drastically since March because of the COVID-19, the post-pandemic situation. That the future of this is going to decide the many of the future of the business, and mobilizing the resources with the speed and scale. That is more important. Today, the whole government, even government is facing the pressure of giving how kind of an encouragement and how they can revive the industries, bring back to the system, bring back to earlier, and how the stimulus will work. What is the package to be done? How stimulus, direct and indirect stimulus, how the resources can be mobilized to put in a high productive use to bring back the business into a normal. And major changes today, friends, we are all facing from globalization to regionalization. This is what happening. You'll be hearing that people talk about the import from China, import from other, even Prime Minister have been telling that Atma Nirbharat, that more of self-reliance, because see, 20 years ago, we have been discussing about from regionalization to globalization. You understand, friends, that is how a globalization took place in the 90s, and also in the WTO, all these things, breaking the barrier of geographical barrier as well as the tax barriers of every country, and the whole world have been integrated with the globalization. You get my point, friends? That was the order of the business. That was the biggest changes happened in the 2000s. And because of globalization, the impact of virus and impact of pandemic is so fast and so quick and so thick and so nervous, so that we are trying to become more of regionalization. Instead of expansion, we are contracting. You get my point, friends? So this is the biggest new normal in the business, and moving from globalization to regionalization. Everybody now today talks about in the government as well as in the social side, in the business side, in the industry side, that how to manufacture by ourselves without import, and how we can depend on ourselves than depending on any other country. This is, I am telling you, friends, this is the biggest in the new normal situation. And friends, this is how the economic future and the impact by COVID-19 also has a direct impact on sustainability and responsibility. Particularly, it comes to youth and employment. The new normal brought very challenging and high social, and how to manage this unemployment, how to create more employment. And there is a direct impact on the sustainability and the responsibility, especially on the employment side. This is the, since my time is very limited, friends, I just go ahead with more points. And the reason has been on the people that a time of fear and uncertainty has been compounded by a totally new routine, one where everyone who can must work from home. This have changed the real lifestyle. This is the biggest changes impact on every individuals in the society, particularly on the Indian environment. How we are equipped to handle, because we are all used to so many generations go to office, go to work spot and do the work. And thanks to IT industry, that brought the culture long back that the people can work at home. Probably that was the necessity because of an IT industry, because those areas, the work can be measurable, so that they allowed people. Today, the new normal have brought the situation that not only in IT, every office and every industry, every office establishment, everyone must work from home. That is the new normal. We are more consistently in touch with each other, and this has become a time of connection. Without meeting each other, still we are connected with it. You get my point, friends. We don't meet, but still we are get connected. That is the new normal situations. And many companies, I'm more focusing on the business and management side about this new normal. Post-pandemic situations, COVID-19 have created. Many companies will rebalance their priority. Resilience become just as important to their strategic thinking as cost and efficiency. This is what more important. Now today, the challenges for every business is that, and how I have to make more of resilience because of thinking to reduce the cost as well as improve the efficiency. The resilience considerations will rebalance a company's priorities. Now the priorities have changed and become just as important to strategic thinking as cost and efficiency. That is more important in the business environment. And what I can briefly tell you about how the pre-COVID normal and new normal. How pre-COVID report after monthly close every month. Today, what is happening, the new normal, that report continuously. And how are we doing year to date today? How are we doing today? And what are our profits for the rest of the year? And what do we expect our cash flow to be over the next? And what are our 3-year big hairy goals? And what are the metrics we can use to track our investment now? This is the normal and new normal. And especially on the stock market, I will just highlight something on the stock market. In the middle of the deepest recession in the memory, stock markets are reaching new high. And why the disconnect? It to understand the conundrum. And you know that how many of, I do not know, friends, especially the students, friends, I ask you that how many of you watch the capital market, and especially the COVID-19 situation, how it crashed, how it recovered. Is that recovery is relevant to the rebalancing growth of the business? Still, it's a doubtful. That is the reason, you know, that when there is a business or facing a problem whereby the stock markets are going high, and the many investors still take a long-term perspective, they are looking ahead to the end of the pandemic. That is the market, friends. See, when the stock market looks at the future situation, you understand that. That stock market always look at the future and discounts all the bad or good points on the today, on the current situation. So it discounts the current and expect the future. So we expect that whenever any challenges have come and any problem comes, and so that there will be new invention, new reskilling, new upskilling, so that there will be growth will be on a different path, so that based on that the investment flowing into the market. And you know that the most of the furthermore the problem in the that most of the problem have been observed a lot in the economic damages, in the dramatic rise in unemployment, in the mid-size and unlisted segment and the unorganized segments, friends. So that is the reason last few months the market is going in opposite direction. I will show you that how this is the situation. Friends, I hope that you could be able to see the Nifty 50 and the pandemic and how these are all see here. This is the highest ever. 500 market touch an all-time high of 12,374 points. I hope that I'm not going to much what is Nifty. This is an index followed by National Stock Exchange tracking 50 shares. So that gives an indicator about the market movement. That means what? When the market moves by measuring the index, that shows that the country. So at simply looking at the index, you can understand whether our economy is doing well, the business are doing well, the industries are doing well or not. See that this is the fallen when it happens. See that in the from March here, this is situation after the budget presentations and when these pandemics was announced. See the fall happened. nearly April. See here, March last week, from March 20 to April 1st, see, so much fallen have happened, almost 50% the market capital have been wiped out. But okay, understand the situation, that we adapt the new normal situation, that the people, that business realize, that management realize that there will be a recovery. And see, this is what is happened. See that from April to October, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in 7 months time, that whatever the loss happened in the market has been recovered, and still it is going fast to recover, even still new. That means what? We adapt to the situations so fast, so quick, and we reinvent ourselves that to how to face the situation. That is the Indian business culture. That is our management, that we have learned not only from the present crisis, even from the earlier crisis, we learned to adapt so that we go fast to work more. So companies switch from running on adrenaline to making organizational speed a permanent part of their cultures. A clarion call for India to accelerate growth. A program of targeted reforms, including greater productivity in several sectors, can help the 90 million non-farm job it needs to create by 2030. That was the target given by the finance minister in the last budget. So that the program targeted reforms with a greater productivity in several sectors have been attempted. That is what is happening. And this is a McKinsey report that as the effects of a gender inequality further threaten the economy and raise hurdles for the health industry, so the company's actions now could see them through the crisis. The new normal creates more intensify the gender inequality because people started work from home, and the new culture have been created. Threatening of the economy and health industries is more active today to find a solution for this. So this is the new normal situation have brought into that. Friends, just I want to give you a picture about the economic conditions in almost what is happening in the new normal in the next 6 months. How it has been projected. This location, see that in China, almost 93% feel that it's a better, and in India, almost they feel 62. See that the percentage is feel better, and 27 feel worse. And North America, it's a 49% feels better. Same way Asia Pacific, and same way Europe and other developing market. So that what it shows that, see here, it's the worst is becoming more. That means that the new normal have become adaptability. The people are accepting the fact that in China and India that we are used to that. We are taking sportively and going ahead on the things. So potentially into the outlook for is specific on electric vehicle and more. And see, this is how just I'm giving you an industry outlook in the coming slides so that you understand the key drivers by selected focus, that microeconomics, change in gas price as a result per barrel oil price decreased from $60 to $30. So this has become new normal situation. And the oil price have been drastically brought down. But even though the wholesale price have been brought down and the gas and oil, we don't feel it in the retail price market because of government policies. But that on otherwise that it is brought, the price have been brought, that gives a government more cushion, the fiscal, because they make more revenue from the tax on the fuel. And see this technology and infrastructure bringing more on electric vehicle, and so that in the future, that you will have a better, less dependence on the fuel. That is also the pandemic situation brought it to light. And you see here, which are all the things across the industries, meeting structure and cadence, and use of technology systems and approach to the interactions level and partnership and broader ecosystem, especially the leaders, core processes, new cultural and decision making, and product wise and corporates. So this is a fair opportunity that we are in the new normal. And friends, this is what, that impact of probability or default, because when we talk about the business and the financial sector, that this COVID-19 have brought a more challenging an opportunity, especially the financial sector, banks and non-bank. There will be more challenging, more because that the entire April was locked down, factory was not working, no production happened, no service were happening. And so March, April, May, June, the first quarter is mostly washed out. And there is a moratorium on the loan repayment. What do you mean by corporates or the borrowers, either individual borrowers or a corporate borrowers have given more time to repay their loan. So they need not repay their loan and interest for a period of 3 months till September. After that, they can repay. Understand, friends, imagine the stress happening in the financial sector. Whatever the money I have lent, if I am not going to get back or I am not going to get the interest, how the banking and financial sector face such a situation? This is the biggest challenge, may result in huge default in repayment of loan and the interest. You get question posed is that because I have not paid the interest for 3 months or 4 months, am I have to pay more interest on the interest? Because that amount also become a due. When it become a due, am I going to face more on that? So there is a challenge happening in the Supreme Court that do I have to pay interest on interest? If I am. Ultimately, that when the business houses are not making a profit, how the management will be able to generate the cash flow and repay the loan? And if I am unable to do that, there has been clear-cut policy on the NPA, that is a non-performing asset definitions, that if I am not going to service my then I may be declared as a non-performing asset. If I am declared as a non-performing asset, again, that I am not eligible for a fresh loan, that will put my industry in further problem. And it is a chain of events, chain of impact happening. So the new normal situation have brought, tremendous pressure on the financial sector, because they have already lent the money, which they are not getting back. And whatever the deposits they have received, they are unable to deploy. The credit growth have been declining. That is an indicator that economic slowdown is happening, because when there is no credit offtake, how the expansion will take place, how more productivity will. Contractions, GDP last month have happened almost around 29% contractions. Now it is expected to come down to 9% in the coming second quarter. So the new normal have brought a tremendous changes in the business side, as well as more challenging to the management. Even though we are very quick, but still things are going to happen. The passenger transport mainly is facing the large and the hotels, see here, and automotive and the real estate. See, non-food retail, house construction. These are all this is how the corporates, this is the small scale and medium enterprises. When you come to the passenger transport or more on, that airlines and hotels is all mostly managed by corporates, whereas coming to the real estate, it becomes more of small enterprises. And how fast that economic conditions in the home country, how fast we will recover. This is worldwide, that China, India, Europe, Asia Pacific, North America and Latin America and developing markets, that still India is placed in a very positive manner. In the coming 6 months, we can grow plus of 9% rather than any other country in the world. Probably Latin America and China is around plus 5. And that gives Indian economy the greater scope and greater potential to grow in the new normal situation. And economic recovery depends on the return of consumer. But shopping will be never same, and it cannot be the same again. That is what the possibilities. Friends, this I would like to give you, that how the sector-wise the level of contribution to GDP and the estimated time to recover from pre-COVID-19 the sector GDP. That the arts, entertainment and recreation, that this is, it will take almost 4 years. These are all the industries, that worst affected, which were contributing almost small business share sector, almost contributing 68%. But that they are the worst affected in the post-COVID situation. And it will start recover only from 2024. And accommodation and food services, see, they are all worst affected. See, years to recover. Education, it will take another 3 years, 2020, 21, 22. This is the biggest survey was conducted, and based on that, that educational services will take almost another 3 years to come back to a normal level and reach its full potential in 2025. The other service, it will take time to recover, and the transport and warehousing, probably the whole year 20 is gone. 21 it will start recover, and manufacturing already they are on swing. The manufacturing got into action. Most of the business are back into action after the July. Once the lock is unlocked, people started going for work, even though some of them work from home, but that they are on fast recovery. The manufacturing is on fast recovery. And whereas, that mining, quarrying on the oil gas extractions will take another 3 years to start recover, come to the normal. Wholesale trade, that they are quick to come back to the normal recovery in the new normal. And these are all, size of the business, how, that more impact of high financial risk and the low financial risk, how it is affected. I'll go sector wise. That accommodation and food services, administrative and support, arts, entertainment, construction, education service, very, very high, because see that they are all affected very much, high financial side, very resilience, that near term and healthcare and social assistance and information services, management of companies, manufacturing, mining, oil and gas, and other services, except more affected is that professional services, real estate, rental and leasing, retail trade, transportation, warehousing, utilities, and wholesale trade. Friends, I'll try to just summarize the whole things that so I can complete in time. That the companies need to think and act across 5 horizons. That first you have to resolve, address the immediate challenges that COVID-19 represents to institutions, workforce, customers, technology, and business partners. That's one we need to resolve. We have the resilience and address near term on cash management challenges and broad the virus related shutdowns and the economic knock-on effects. The return is that create a detailed plan to return business to scale quickly as COVID-19 situation evolves and knock-on the effects become very clear. So we have to do the reimagination, that reimagine the next normal. What discontinuous shift looks like and implications for how institutions should reinvent. The reform, be clear about how regulatory and competitive environments in the industry may shift. These are all the consolidating effect the new normal situations. And with this, friends, I really conclude my presentation. You have a lot of papers, presentation, so many things are there. I do not want to take much time. Of course, very limited time within that we could able to do that. I really thank every one of you for your patience hearing, and I thank the management and the faculties for giving me an opportunity to be with you and discuss this new normal situation. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, sir. Now we request the participants to have a look at the glimpses of our conference souvenir release. Gratitude is not only the greatest virtues, but the parent of all others. I now request Dr. D. Padmavati, Head, Department of Commerce, to deliver the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello. Good afternoon, one and all. It's my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks. Let me first congratulate the organizers for this first of its kind virtual conference and for bringing together experts from across the world for deliberation. We would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the management of Sri Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science for Women for providing us all facilities in campus for organizing this virtual conference. Our sincere gratitude to our principal, Dr. K. Chitra, for guiding us right from the stage of planning till its meticulous execution. On behalf of the management, principal, and organizers, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to Mrs. Sangeeta Srinivasan, Delivery Lead, Technology, Global Technology Operations, Bank of America, US, for her inspiring inaugural address on how the workforce and leadership is reimagined and the technology plans are reset in the new normal situation. Our heartfelt gratitude to Mrs. Subha Rajesh, Technology Program Manager, IT, Governance and Operations, Loan Department, Dallas, Texas, USA, for her informative address on how companies and employees tend to adapt to the new normal after COVID-19. Our sincere thanks to Sri K. Annamalai, Managing Director, Annamalai Capital Services Coimbatore, for his informative address on better resource mobilization and utilization in this pandemic situation, with regionalization moving away from globalization. And also, thank you, sir, for reminding us all about sustainability and our responsibility. It's great to have 220 research papers from contributors around the world hoping to present in the conference tracks after this plenary session. Thank you all very much. Thanks to the 500 and odd participants who have joined us on YouTube Live for witnessing this conference. Finally, I thank the Almighty for his benevolence in keeping us all healthy and fit to run this program today. Thank you all once again. Over to you, MC Desk.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, let us break for lunch. Presentation track will start sharply at 1:30 p.m. We kindly request all participants to join in your respective tracks for paper presentation. Join through the links shared in the Telegram group and mail. Thank you.